Hi, I'm Bart Hanson. I'm the owner and lead instructor for CrushLivePoker.com. The following hand comes from our call-in show that we record every Mondays at 4:45 p.m. Pacific Time. If you enjoy the channel, please hit that like button and also subscribe to the channel. Turn notifications on and you will get an email link with this full episode. And if you want to submit to this show, take a look at the information in the description.
Okay, so this happened in Manila during the APT about
Oh,
4 weeks ago, 3 weeks ago.
Vanilla and the EPT. Okay.
So we were playing standards to 5, but a bunch of us requested the game at 5/10, which is quite high for the local rates, hence the private table.
So you're playing a private 2-5. So it's 5-5-10. Is that right?
Yes, 5/10. 5/5
Okay.
with a mandatory straddle 10, yeah.
5-5-10. Okay.
It's a 900 table, mostly local rates, and a couple of us sort of Western guys that have traveled from Hong Kong and Singapore to the tournament.
Oh, okay. So Asian guys too.
Yeah,
Okay.
mostly the table is mostly Asian guys. So Villain is quite a tight, neat regular. I've played with him before, playing 2-5. I've seen him in the tournament. I am in the mid position, maybe you can say mid position after the mandatory style. So he opens to 25. He opens to 30 from 100 to 1, and it comes to the person next to him, it's UTG, opens UTG +1 just calls, comes to me in mid position, and I make it 120 with ace of hearts, ace of diamonds.
All right. So I'm going to have to guide some people because the connection's not good, but I actually do have your stat up here. So we'll do this the best that I can. So you're 2,700 effective.
Yes.
Villain has the hero covered. This is at Manila, EPT, 5-5-10, 9-handed. Under the gun opens to 30. +1 calls. Hero +2, 3 bets to 120 with ace of hearts, ace of diamonds, right?
Yeah.
Okay. Folds back around to UTG, correct? And he calls?
Yes.
Calls,
He calls,
and
yeah.
+1 folds.
Folds.
Okay. So the pot's like 290, right? So your head's up. You've got
290,
aces.
yes.
Your head's up against UTG.
Yeah.
Okay.
And so comes 6 of diamonds, deuce of spades, and deuce of diamonds.
6 of diamonds, deuce of diamonds, deuce of spades. And you've got ace of hearts, ace of diamonds. A pretty good flop.
Yeah, pretty good stuff.
Yeah.
Living checks. I go for 1-5.
Yeah.
I was thinking maybe I could bet a bit bigger, but I want to build the pot, but I don't want to scare him. I want to keep all his 9s, 8s, 10s, and whatnot. King, queens, any kind of flush draws. I want to keep them in.
So 6 deuce deuce. This is interesting as we talked about. This is an example, right? 6 deuce deuce, right? This is a very, very extreme scenario, extreme configuration. Under the gun, open to 30, and you 3-bet and he called. So you're from basically like you're 3-betting under the gun. It's extreme scenario, right? And he makes the call, so that's going to be a very tight range. And the board comes out 6 deuce deuce. Now you guys are in position. The pot's 290. This is where this solver stuff says to start using gigantic sizing, because really he shouldn't have many 6s here, and really shouldn't have a deuce here. Now, this, by the way, too, when you're ever looking in there, if something out of the box happens in a spot like this where you think there's a slight chance that somebody might have trips where the type of card that they would have trips with would only be played with an ace, okay? Then, for example here, 6 deuce deuce, you can actually look at the suits of your aces and see how they interact with the deuces on board, right? So the deuce of spades is out there. You don't have the ace of spades, which means ace deuce of spades is not possible. The deuce of diamonds is out there. Ace deuce of diamonds is not possible. You have the ace of hearts. So the ace of hearts, the ace of diamonds, and the deuce of spades are all taken. So there's only one combo of ace deuce, which is ace deuce of clubs. Sometimes there can be two,
Clubs, yeah.
sometimes there can be zero. All four can be out there. Here in this case, we've used three. That's one little thing. The second little thing about using this large sizing, though, is that the reason why you are supposed to be using large sizing in sort of game theory is that your opponent has to defend a lot wider because you are allowed to use that sizing. It's all kind of a game of chicken, this game theory. So when we look at exploits, and I heard you say, I didn't want to scare him away, I could sometimes see sizing down in a spot like this if you wanted to basically get action. The thing with aces is that means that he has less ace highs that he can call with. It's almost like it would be better to do that with kings or queens to get him to call with an ace high type of hand, although guys aren't going to be releasing a lot of ace highs anyways on this particular board if they have ace queen, ace king, maybe even a 200. The point that I'm making is that maybe I wouldn't pot it, but I think I would probably bet larger than 125. But you bet 125, and UTG makes it 375. Is that right?
That's right, yeah.
Okay, so UTG makes it 375. So here, this is actually a pretty extreme scenario. Now, you have the ace of diamonds in your hand, so this guy can't have the nut flush draw, but I actually don't think it's crazy to 3-bet back here. Now, obviously, you could call, and I think that the general sort of approach here would be to call, but you're definitely can have some 3-bets here. If you're going to play like, I'm going to call whatever, I mean, you should probably have the nuts here. 125 to 375. But the other thing, though, too, is, of course, you're in position. So you don't necessarily need to build the pot up that much. But I don't really hate 3-betting all that much to something like 775, 875. If you make this call, the pot's going to be like 1,000. And you guys are going to have like 2,400 left. So it still seems rather easy to get the money in. Where you start to see 3-bets get reflected here is if you're deeper, right? Let's say you start with 5,000 effective, something like that. What did you end up doing here?
So I make it 625.
Oh, okay. So you did 3-bet.
Yeah, I 3-bet to 625.
Clicks it to 325. Okay. Yep.
And as you said, I thought about all these points, and but my main line of thinking was that he would do this with. I expect him to do all of this with all the pocket pairs that he could.
Because of your downsizing.
So I want to get value from my hand and against all of those. And anyway, so he flats.
So he flats.
Calls 6-5, yeah. And turn is a very interesting card. It's the Queen of Diamonds.
So the pot right now, 1250, is about 1540, right? 1540, 1250, yeah. All right. So, and you guys have 2,100 left. So you're not dealing with that much of you're dealing with about one pot size bet left, right? Something like that. Okay.
Yeah.
The turn's the Queen of Diamonds. It puts a third diamond out there. Is that right?
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay.
So now having this diamond in my hand, I'm thinking that, okay, I'm starting to think that, okay, I may not be good here.
Mm-hmm.
But I'm still thinking that he could have it. He could do this with some odd King X combos with King of Diamonds. But I'm also starting to think about sixes, and now I'm starting thinking about pocket queens now in his hand.
I mean, those are all valid reasons too. I mean, it's kind of interesting because one of the things I used to think was that, like if you have got the diamond here, it's easier to check through. right? It's easier to check through,
Yeah.
and another diamond comes off, you've got it. And if you don't have the diamond, like your hand needs a little bit of protection. Where sort of the new school thought is that it's actually more of a bet here, with the ace of diamonds, because you can call across like sort of raises on turn. My gut here, though, is that I would probably just check this back for the reasons that you stated, that there's going to be queens in this range. There's going to be flush draws in this range. You can take a card here. And also, too, like, if he polarizes river when you check back, this is a good hand to check back to call rivers, right? If you think the guy's that advanced. What I mean by that is that, like, you've got the ace of diamonds in your hand. So this is a nice little one to put it in like a check back turn call river against a large sizing, because he doesn't have the nut flush, so he's gonna be like representing like a boat plus against really, really large sizing. Is kind of what my thinking is. So I kind of like a check along like all those levels here as a check back. Did you check
Yeah.
back?
No, actually,
Oh, okay.
I took a very spazzy line and just open jammed all in.
That's all in for what, 1.5x?
It's about I have about 1 point. At this point, I have about less than 2,000.
Right. Well, yeah, right.
And
So it's about, maybe 1.3x. I mean,
yeah,
I don't know if that's going to be the best way, the most efficient way to play this hand. I think that once the pot gets up to this size, right, and it's such an extreme configuration, and you cut out a lot of the flushes the guy can have, then it's probably not that bad to get it in at some point, right? The question is
yeah.
like, is this the most efficient way to get it in? I kind of like what I had said, which is basically to play a check across this turn to call rivers, right? I mean,
Right.
like I said, for those reasons. I mean, I kind of stressed it out. So what ended up happening here?
Yeah. So he ended up falling, and he showed 6-6 pocket sixes.
He folded and showed 6-6.
No. He called.
Oh,
He called
called.
back
Oh,
and,
okay.
yeah. He
Okay.
called. Yeah.
Oh, I was like, what?
I would have been very happy with a fold and show. Yeah.
All right. So villain calls with 6-6. Of course, the other thing that you run into also too is you don't want to blow him, as people in the chat are saying too, is that when I say like not the most efficient way, you don't want to blow him off of like all his hands, right? Like if you jam
Yeah.
here on the
Exactly.
turn, right? What you're probably making like kings no diamond, like almost a fold here. Like I don't know what he does with
Yeah.
kings no diamond. If he jacks 10, so that's why I say it's probably not the most efficient way to play this hand. And obviously, if you can't
Yeah.
get called by worse, then it's definitely not going to be the right play, right?
Yeah, that's true. Totally agree. But with hindsight, when I was thinking about this hand afterwards, I realized that I actually did 0 EV by just jamming there. I mean, I get to fold all of the hands that could maybe stab the river, try to bluff on the river, and I can get perfectly call those ones. I get to fold all of those, and I usually, almost all the time, I get called by the hand.
Well, yeah, I don't think that you're saying. I understand what you're saying is. So you're saying you don't like your play, right?
Not at all.
Right. Because when you said zero, so usually when people say 0 EV, they mean sort of indifferent. So I wouldn't. I mean, these are all made up terms, right? But I wouldn't necessarily use the term 0 EV, because that would mean that like you're making all his hands indifferent, basically. I think, as I understand it, which is definitely not the case here. Now, if you didn't have aces with the ace of diamonds here, and you're faced with like one pot size bet left, and you're like, well, it's an awkward stack, and I can just jam here for protection and value. I'll get called by a pair with like, say for example, the turn was like the 9 of diamonds, and you had black aces or something like that, right? And you had one pot size bet left. You could easily make a case, and you say like, sometimes I'll get called by worse hands, which are over pairs and diamonds with diamonds in them. Or that those hands are made indifferent to basically calling, which is kind of what you're striving for. But this is much different, right? Because now the queen comes into some of his boat's range, and you have the ace of diamonds, so you don't need the diamond protection. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So, I mean that's kind of that's kind of along the line that I would go with it. But it's an interesting one. Yeah, you don't want to necessarily start building a pot up, like you said, like 3-bet, where you started with the downsize. You started with the downsize, and oh, sorry, hold on a second. Uh, oh, we do have another caller on here. My bad. Sorry, Squish. Excuse me. You started with the downsize, and then
Yeah.
you sort of just like went crazy, right? You know what I mean? So like that's why I think
Yeah.
that's why I wouldn't do that. But thanks for the call. I appreciate it. Hey guys, if you like what you've seen here, please click on the subscribe button and you'll get notified every time we put up a new video. And if you want to check out crushlivepoker.com for the first month free, use the code YTA200. Click on the link right there.